Well, I am so excited to bring you this garden tour today. One of the most, if not the most exceptional small gardens you will ever see. And it speaks to me because I am here with my friend Sammy, one of the cutest people on the planet, who shares my obsession, my fascination, my absolute adoration of all things boxwood and tailored small space gardens. And boy, this is spectacular.
Thank you. Thanks. We love it. It's our little haven.
And who else do we love because they did your garden?
John Fluitt.
Yes. John Fluitt at Garden Design and Roger, our buddy Roger. They have worked with you for years.
Absolutely.
And here's a little piece of trivia. Sammy went to high school with Stuart's mom in Midwest City.
And go Bombers.
Yeah, and this all came out while we were visiting one day over coffee in this absolutely divine space in her backyard. Eminently charming, eminently livable, eminently beautiful, and ever expressive of the personalities of both you and your husband, Van, who is also...
Oh, he loves it. He's the one that manicures, and he loves this. He's very earthy. So I give it all to you, John, everyone who's helped, and Van.
Well, it's absolutely incredible, but definitely your taste and sensibilities permeate every square inch of both this outdoor space and also her indoor space, which when you get back from your travels and I get back from my travels, we are going to film for you. You will absolutely love it. Thank you.
That's my forte. I like that too.
Yes. Thank you, my dear.
Thank you
we're going to let you go back inside. You've got some things going, and I guess I'll just take it from here.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, honey.
Stuart, let's do it. Well, I love visiting gardens like this because they give me so many ideas for my own garden. Now, this one is actually a smaller template than even mine, but it is very, very tailored. It's very manicured, and it very much mimics the kind of style that I like, as I mentioned earlier, with lots of clipped boxwood and punctuations of container gardens with color. So, Stuart, if you would, I'm going to let you kind of come off of the porch area and look at this spectacular side garden. Now, this is a brilliant solution if you have a narrow side garden and you are looking for ways to make it compelling to plant some things, but also in no way detracting from its practicality and its accessibility. So you can see that this is probably, I am going to say, 4.5 feet, Stuart? This area here, maybe 4.5 feet. And then there are these, what are these called? Railroad ties here. And then it goes up on another level where there is more greenery, more foundational plantings. And this gives it dimension. It gives it a beautiful layering feel. But again, it's very, very practical to move from the front side garden, and you can see even up here how accessible her trash cans are and things, to the front. And then when you come back here, it becomes a garden. I love the fact that she has done this, it's just so attractive. This combo of flagstone with gravel. You guys know I'm a huge fan of it. It's really, really a wonderful technique to utilize here in Oklahoma because of our difficulties in erratic temperature swings and things like that. But I also love the fact that it gives texture, it gives movement, and it gives dimension to small spaces like this. So on the upper level, we have some Elaeagnus, we've got some tree peonies, some perfectly trimmed boxwood cloves. It looks really incredible. Another tree peony, and then at the end, a miniature little cedar elm, some kind of elm, but it's absolutely adorable, and I think that I need one of those. And then she's also got some, I would say, restrained but very effective in their simplicity garden ornaments here. A beautiful trough filled with what is still happy yellow Irish moss and golden Irish moss, maybe it's Scotch moss, and also little piece of iron sculpture that kind of picks up on this brilliant idea here. There are two statement pieces of arched rebar right here that frames what is encapsulated within the frame, and you can see it as a perfect focal point framing the view outside this window. Something very simple but very, very striking. The radius is identical on both pieces of rebar, and on the rebar she is growing a variegated porcelain berry vine, and it's really, really spectacular. The berries on it have not transformed yet into their very distinctive blue color, porcelain blue color. It's absolutely beautiful. It can be, in some ways, it can get a little bit out of hand, but in this confined area, it's the perfect application for it. And she keeps it beautifully tamed, or Van does, and beautifully trimmed up from the base, exposing the architecture of the vine itself. Awesome. Yeah, it's really magnificent. And imagine what this space would look like without this rebar and what it looks like with the rebar. So talk about something relatively inexpensive and a brilliant component that you could add to your own garden. And it looks magnificent not only when you are head on looking at it from this perspective, but also if you are looking down the long view. Yeah, the long view from either end, from this end to the other end, from south to north. So a small garden need not lack a certain spectacular quality. She even has not only some robust hosta in here, but look, there's a little tiny bird bath. It doesn't look, and a little stool. It doesn't look cluttered. It looks very clean. It looks very neat, but it is just packed fully with tons of personality. Now, let's just kind of move on and go to another garden room. Well, let me give you some perspective and some orientation from inside out. So this goes into their kitchen. This wonderful little patio off of their kitchen is simply divine. It is enclosed. There's a wonderful roof over it. All of the trim is painted to match the trim of the rest of the house. And this can also be completely enclosed because they have operational blinds that come down on each side. So this could be completely closed off if indeed they want to make this another room that's kind of a fusion of being indoors and outdoors. Nice place to sit and have your coffee in the morning. She's got a sideboard here with some of her favorite magazines, an ice bucket. It's just a wonderful little composition, still life. I'm going to imagine that she often sets up her bar outside when she is entertaining in this way.
I like this modern bar set's kind of cool.
Yeah, the modern bar set is really cool. And she, like me, she loves rattan. So
it matches too.
Yeah, and it matches.
Well, the matches, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, the matches
like
too. Yeah. And then if you go this way, then it just intersects with the path that goes around to the front. So many great outdoor living ideas in a very, very small space that nevertheless has multiple garden rooms. So this then opens up onto a path that enters this magnificent pergola. Now, Stuart, let's insert some footage right here. I'm just going to stop talking for a minute and let's rewind. Let's go back in time and put a segment of our previous visit here with the former pergola, and you can kind of see what this area looked like. How many years ago was that? 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, around, between 2, 3, 4 is in that range.
And when you see the footage, you'll think, oh, that looks so perfect. Why would they ever change it? Well, they changed it because it had been there for a long time. And over time, structures like the previous pergola that was here, it began to rot. It began to have some structural integrity issues. And they needed to replace it with this magnificent structure that is a combination of steel and wood. You'll notice that they did reuse some magnificent fixtures that were in place before.
They're cool.
And just other things that you may recognize. But let's stop right here. Let's put in some sections of that previous garden tour, and then we'll be back after we kind of go back in time.
It's not necessarily low maintenance, but by the same token, you don't have any lawn to mow.
No.
You don't overseeding. You don't have any of that.
Not at all. We did, when we first moved here, of course, and the trees were all not mature, we had grass all in the whole backyard. The entire backyard was grass. And then as the trees grew, as they do, then we took it all out and said, okay, we're going to put it, and I love flagstone. I love flagstone.
Yes,
and the pea
yes.
gravel. Any of that, I've always been a fan of that. I've always loved it. And so we took it all out, bye-bye grass, and low maintenance other than all the trimming. We have to keep this nice and pristine and trimmed because it's such a small garden. And
Well, it being a small garden makes it manageable.
it does.
It helps you actually relate to the garden in a very personal way. And I find it therapeutic and really cathartic, especially now, to be able to come outside and do some of your own work. So I want to make sure that Stuart, this needs to be our thumbnail for this video, because this vista and these garden rooms, sometimes I think small gardens lend themselves to making small garden rooms more even than large gardens.
I think so too.
So it is just, it's just wonderful, but I'm getting ahead of myself because I want to point out another brilliantly sculpted tree, this Crimson Queen Japanese maple. And you seldom, or at least I seldom see them this large.
Is that right?
Yes, normally the ones I see are a little bit smaller. So look at the way this is contorted and has
I love it.
a very
It's my
Asian
favorite.
quality
It's my
about
favorite.
it.
It's my, as John and I were saying, and Van, my husband, we were saying that's Sammy's tree. Don't touch it. So, but we've had to have it trimmed on this side because it's all fanning out toward the sunlight that way. But I as you said, I love the contorting part of it, and it's just so interesting to me. And but I didn't think it was going to get that big actually, but
Well,
I don't think it'll get much bigger.
But it's got this umbrella shape to it, and I bet when morning light comes through these leaves and the shadows it creates must just be magical.
It is beautiful. And then I like to go around and walk around it too, because in the fall, it would turn colors. And that portion out coming from that direction, it's just beautiful. The colors are so pretty and magnificent.
And look at this. Is that not just adorable?
I don't think they've found that yet.
Just adorable. And look at these. Look at just your really unique garden art. That's just magnificent. Is there a story behind these?
There is a story behind that, and that is, I think we all know Janis Joplin. We remember Janis Joplin. All right, this is her sister and her husband that live here in Oklahoma City, and her husband made those.
Oh.
And they are a sweet little garden shop that had to close their doors a couple of years ago. She retired, a Wilshire Garden Market, and she sold these, and they were on you know, they were hanging. She had some that were, you know, sit-abouts, and they were just sitting, big sculptures.
Oh, wow.
They're just beautiful. But,
Well, I used to do workshops at Carol's at
Oh, you
Wilshire
did?
Garden Market,
yes, you
and
did.
I
Yes, you did.
don't
I
remember
that.
seeing these, or I think I would have had to snag some.
Oh boy!
But I love the fact that you've got them hanging in threes, and I love the story that
I do too.
with Janis Joplin.
makes you
That's
happy.
that's
I
just
know.
incredible.
It just makes you happy, and I just think all of the way he is put all the
yes.
different notches in there,
And it kind of matches. You've got some little violas, some blue violas over there, and I just love that color.
You can tell I like blue and I like purple,
And it just looks beautiful. There's so much to see. Okay, Stuart, what is this? This is
an antique rain barrel.
that is just
The rain would go
unbelievable.
in here and I don't know. I think it's about 100 years old.
Oh my gosh! And what is this?
Oh,
This looks like a whiskey jug.
They have a lot of those. I picked that up in Europe, and they have a lot of those all over Europe, and as well as here.
So maybe a wine.
It's a
wine jug.
whiskey wine jug. Uh-huh.
And I love the fact that this matches and that you've got them in a protected area off of your porch with a charming little sitting area here. You've got some wire vines, some Muhlebeckia in here, and this porch. So this is stamped concrete.
Concrete. Mm-hmm. It
And-
is, and it was much more brilliant, of course. But as it's faded out, I kept thinking, you know, maybe I should stamp it again and have it more brilliant. But I kind of like.
No,
the
I
weathered.
like it.
You do.
Oh yes,
like
I
the
love it
I
weathered.
like the weathered look.
And you're framed, as we go back into the garden, you're framed by pots filled with succulents and ivy, and I love it. Tell me about these over here.
Those aren't true antiques, actually. They're new. And if I may, they're from Ethan Allen.
Really?
They were in my house at one point, in my husband's office. And then I started, you know, just thinking about how great they'd look out here. Just a little added, you know, rustic
Touch.
So we put those.
What was their original intention? Just ornament?
Not sure.
Just
I think so. I don't know if they
door
were actually,
door knockers or
I'm
something?
not sure if they were supposed to be. They're new. They're not true antiques, but I don't know if they were really like some type of a pulley, you know, back in.
Well, they also have kind of a Western vibe to them, a wagon wheel
I
vibe.
think so too.
So then, okay, the pergola is just incredible. So I was telling you that after you were on the horticultural tour, that I put some video and also some stills up of this pergola, which is one of the most liked stills I've put on Instagram ever. I love these flame-filled lanterns.
That's pretty. I like those.
They are
a lot.
just
We love them.
spectacular.
They just make you happy, and we keep them on all the time, actually, and just enjoy them so much.
And then about 1 million people are going to ask us, what vine is this growing up around the pergola?
Well, that is a woolly morning glory, and they are incredible. They just grow. You can almost see them grow an inch each night. They're just so fast growing, but they love the heat. And once, you know, we'll plant them, and you can see all the little areas. We had those cut out, the circles there in the patio, and so we planted it. I bet they're not any taller than a foot, and they're planted in May, and then actually in June, when the weather starts to get warmer, they love the heat, and so they really start taking off.
So they're an annual.
They're an
so
annual.
You plant them every year.
Yes, they're an annual, and darn it, because we're going to lose them here pretty soon.
Pretty soon, but
Pretty
they're
soon. But the leaves are beautiful, and what I love also about them is I love the branches. It's
Yes.
almost like velvet, and they wrap themselves around. See how it's twisted around?
the contortion of it.
Yes, and I just love how they just, and we just keep tacking them. We use little nails, and we just keep training it to go up
Up and over. And look, it's the perfect color. It's a perfect color match.
Well, I hadn't noticed that. You would notice.
To your, isn't it just marvelous?
It
Do
is.
they bloom? Do they bloom?
They usually bloom this year, but it's usually at the very end of this season.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't see any blooms on them, and we'll only get a bloom like maybe 2 weeks, and it's usually right up at the top.
And what color is it?
It's kind of a purple.
Is
It's a
it?
very faint, kind of a violet color.
Well, this is so spectacular.
I love it.
I would not mind if it never bloomed because it's really just spectacular.
I think it's just all about the leaves
And
the colors.
then you can just see she was talking about creating planting pockets at the base of the posts, and just one plant, it looks like.
One
Is
actually. No,
it
I
just
think we
one?
did two. We
Two.
did
Okay, there's
plants.
two.
Two
Okay.
plants per circle.
Well, it just frames it gloriously for a morning glory, for a woolly morning
This is so
glory.
pretty, yeah.
And then you've got additional string lighting in here. What a wonderful place to sit
just
and
love it.
dine, have breakfast, and you're on a golf course.
We are on a golf course, and we get to enjoy all those beautiful trees out there as well, and space. We have a nice lot because we can enjoy
Yes.
those huge trees out there, far enough away where we don't feel like we're, claustrophobic by
Right.
any means, and we can just enjoy the.
And you feel a little bit like
solitude.
you're in the country, and you can
You
see
really
the
do.
coloring as the fall leaves start to turn. And happily, you've got a red oak right here that looks like two of them maybe. Is that an oak? It's hard for me to tell.
This one right here
that
is
a
an
maple?
October.
October Glory.
Glory.
Yes. Okay.
That's an October Glory, and then of course that beautiful magnolia. Look at the size
Oh
of that
my
one.
gosh.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's
And I thought it was going to be a small type, but
Uh-huh.
it's not.
But it's not. Yeah. Well, it is just brilliant, and a nice evergreen structure to have there in the corner, and you feel very framed in. And then we've got just your classic, just a cedar tree down there to give you some added privacy.
Privacy.
And I bet the birds love it.
Oh yes, they do. They love it. And then of course the squirrels. They like everything.
They, yes, sadly they do like it. Yes,
They like it all.
They like everything, and you're kind of flanked in boxwood in both pots and in the beds with more of the mondo grass. You've got a separate ancillary seating area over here. You feel, again, not at all confined or claustrophobic because you can see through the wrought iron fence. You can see
lots of
through
space.
all of the trees because of the way you've got them sculpted. You can even see through the pergola.
Well,
So-
we were going to put a roof on it, and I'm so glad we didn't because it would have darkened the
Yes.
whole area, and it would have darkened inside of the house. So I'm glad that we did keep that open.
And it would have also really affected what you could grow underneath it. Because I'm sure this morning glory,
Well, and I have to tell you a little story too. When we first moved in, and this was actually 20 years ago, and it really was country. I mean, it was the end of the road it was a dirt road, and now
my.
you can see
Yeah.
on Covell, it's just huge. But there was nothing out here at all. We had one little tree, and so we called Garden Design Associates, John Flewitt, and he said, okay, we'll drop we drew up 3 plans, and we picked from one particular plan and decided on that. And so we had decided, okay, we'll just do this in stages. And so I went to work. Van went to work. It was a weekday, and he said, the crew's coming out, and so we'll probably be home, gone by 5 when you get home. And I came home, got home about 5:30, and I couldn't wait to get to see what they had done. And he put the whole yard in all at once.
Oh my gosh.
And I just
started crying immediately.
I was like, no, there's no way. This is, and then of course I called John, and he just started laughing. And I said, "You are such a little."
He is a little elf, John. We adore John, don't we?
He is something else, and so talented. And then, but now it's changed a lot from the initial. Not a lot, but. Anyway, we just started enjoying the backyard right off.
Well, and as a garden should, it should evolve over time. And Stuart, you can kind of show the pathway that goes back and runs parallel to the golf course with a lovely sidewalk and a walking path. And
a different perspective every.
Yeah, it really is.
Areas.
And we'll meet Stuart back over here in this secondary garden room, again flanked by boxwood. And I love the way this is pruned, how it's I don't really know how it's slanted at the top and narrower at the top.
And the way he taught us on that is because the reason being that it will help fill out the bottom
to get
portion.
Light at the bottom portions. That's just wonderful. We've got some spotted leopard plant here, a charming water feature surrounded by flagstone, more of your cherished hydrangeas back here, and some hellebores, some violas. So you have a lot of room for both seasonal color, but very much that signature trademark that I adore of lots of just green on green with little flashes of color versus just large expanses of annuals. This is so soothing.
I was telling Stuart when we first moved here also, you could probably, this was a hot tub at one point. And so we used it a lot. And our grandchildren were all teeny tiny, and they thought it was a swimming pool, of course. So we enjoyed it for probably 10 years, and then it kept breaking, and the kids got older, and we didn't use it. So this is what we did.
A wonderful example of how a garden can evolve and change with its owners over time, and how you can rethink a water feature.
Right.
And recommunicate it. The breeze through here is lovely. You can hear her collection of wind chimes. She's even got enough space for a perennial bed in here. We've got some angelonia, some comeflower, a huge pot of plumbago, some tendenscontia, some more mondo grass, some sedum autumn joy. What am I missing in here? It's just, and all in that kind of signature, kind of bluish gray foliage that so matches your house. I just love it.
Well, thank you. It's a happy garden right now.
It's very happy.
And
it's very
like
happy.
We're catching it right at the right time too, because I guess we're going to change here in about another week.
Yes, in another week. So whenever you guys are watching this, it is October 21st today.
21st.
So we have yet to have a hard freeze. So a lot of this stuff is still very happy, but it could not be more beautiful out here. I just noticed another fabulous color echo. All of your grayish blues, and then how they mimic the color on the juniper berries.
Oh, yes. I see that. I hadn't thought of that before now, but yes.
I love the way it communicates. Other really massive boulders with wonderful lichens, more Indian hawthorn, lots of ferns and things that wave and create movement. Another beautiful Japanese maple over here with some smaller orbs.
Little orbs.
And then,
And I just let those, as you can tell, I don't paint them or anything. I just let those go natural.
that makes, we pay extra for that, for age stuff.
Right.
And then another seating area over here, if you get a little bit chilly in the shade, you can come over here where it's a little sunnier. And
Private little nook.
more succulents, potted evergreens. Is this a Hicksau? Do you know?
Yes. That's a U.
I am so going to have to copy this. Stuart, remind me. I've taken away many things from this garden before, but here's another one. I want a large Hicksau, beautifully pruned in a conical shape, and then against the shiny, glossy foliage. And I love the trains in the background.
Oh my gosh. Yes, they're here. They are here.
And this magnificent magnolia over here. And you're not sure the cultivar on this?
I am not sure.
But
on
it is
that.
just wonderful. It's very columnar, and wonderful visual weight on the corner of the property.
I think we're all kind of different in that in one aspect with having to do with trees, and I'm always having them come out and trim our trees. And I'm one that I don't particularly like my trees touching. I like it
Open.
a little bit open, and I probably because the yard is small,
Right.
and I like the light to come in. But I think it's interesting how you talk to different people, and some they like that overgrowth with, kind of more like an umbrella effect, and then some
Just
don't,
like the distinction. Well, it gets more light down in here. If they were both the same kind of tree, you might want them to meet. But since they're two different specimens, maybe not. So I cannot thank you enough for showing us your
Linda.
magical spot.
It was my pleasure. I just love you, and I appreciate you so much and all your input.
Well,
It means the world to me.
it's
really
just wonderful. It's one of my favorite gardens in Oklahoma City. Actually, I should say we're not even in Oklahoma City. We're in Edmond, which is a suburb of Oklahoma City. It's where a period of my growing up years, I grew up in Edmond.
Is that right?
And it's just nice to visit and catch up with old friends. Thank you,
thank
Sammy.
you so much, Linda. It's my pleasure. Now we get to go have tea.
Yes, yes.
Well, it was magnificent before, no question. It is even more magnificent now. I think this structure is a little bit more elegant. It is certainly more durable, but it looks very, very consonant and harmonious and consistent with the house and these outdoor spaces. So, Stuart, if you would come and stand where I'm standing. So again, we give you an orientation to how each space leads into each other space. So if you turn around, then over here you have the small patio area that I was talking about. If I go to the right, there is a path, a flagstone path that is bordered in mondo grass that goes around this way and into the fountain room. You can see some hydrangeas there, a ginkgo, some fern, just all sorts of things. And then before we go to the fountain area, Stuart, let's show everyone how this then comes off from this side via the same kind of flagstone patio. It is directly across from the other path that goes up the side garden. And in this corner, there are some wonderful plantings of oak leaf hydrangea, some cut leaf spirea, more clipped boxwood in conical shapes. We're under a brilliant Yopon holly. And there's a maple tree over here that's kept beautifully, beautifully trimmed. I believe that's a maple with just some miniature nandina along the wrought iron fence. So it all so smoothly, in a stream-like way, one space connects to the other. And then at the entry point into the pergola, we've got a fabulous oleander in a pot with a fabulous clay cloche, and then again, a different scale, but some rock at the base.
Just ahead.
So, and just ahead, and just ahead. That's a John Fluitt. Yeah, that's just a John. That's a John Fluitt thing. Now, as a point of inspiration, when they were doing some subtle changes to this back garden, she was very inspired by Klaus Dalby's Container Garden book, and she really wanted to incorporate more containers with color, and they did that brilliantly. I can see back in here some Lenten rose and some different things. But back to the pergola area, a really spacious dining area where they can entertain. I myself have sat underneath this brilliant overhang and enjoyed coffee and wine. It's really wonderful. And then I believe this is new.
Yes.
So it is new?
Yes.
Okay, so they added a tiny little kitchen area that has both a grill and it looks like a warming oven and an area and a surface upon which to prepare foods and such. And oh, Stuart, I recognize some of these wonderful candles. I know she got these in Santa Fe because I have gotten some myself. Santa Rosa candles. Was just looking at these in Santa Fe. I have a massive one. And so this area is very compact. It's very, very, I can't use the word functional enough. And it connects just effortlessly and beautifully to the dining area that has a fabulous Macrophylla hydrangea that beautifully echoes the color of the cushions.
And those are larger foliage on that, right?
Yes, these are larger.
That's the difference.
And these look like they might be a florist hydrangea.
Those are just so neat.
Macrophylla, macrophylla. And then this comes over here with a slight grade change on a large piece of flagstone, again embedded in more mondo grass. And it comes down here to the fountain area. That is, I guess, punctuated on each corner with what looks to be some carex, some everilla, I believe it's everilla, this really kind of grassy component here, carex salata or sedge, and it just looks beautiful, I think. Again, with the same gravel in different scale, different size that communicates with all of the other gravel in the area. And then this is the path that from the other angle.
What's this guy?
This is Tradescantia. And what's it? Spiderwort. That's its common name, spiderwort. I used to have some that was in a chartreuse color. It can really get overly aggressive, but right here it's a perfect application of its use in this area, and it's doing beautifully here. And she's got a hydrangea. She's got another, I bet this is a hydrangea too. I bet this might be this. Yes, I'm going to guess this is. Yes.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Can you make a hydrangea just like you can a snowball into a tree?
Yes, you can topiary. You can topiary a hydrangea. And I'm going to guess this might be a really large limelight hydrangea, though it might be another variety.
You just blew my mind.
But it's absolutely beautiful. It's spectacular.
And now you know I want to see that, right?
And now you want to see that. Let's see if it's got any little buds. I don't see buds yet, and I'll have to confirm that that's what it is with Sammy, but it's beautiful. She's got a whole skirt of this sweet alyssum that is really dear and flouncy at the base of this boxwood. This is a green mountain boxwood, and this area here has been trimmed, not unlike the potager, the way I used to keep the potager trimmed at my former home. And this is wintergreen boxwood. You talk about romancing the ordinary. All of these plants are a lot of these plants are rather ordinary, but they are used in such inventive ways that it just makes for a spectacular still life and a spectacular tableau. This is just Manhattan euonymus that's been trained back to a profile. It's on a wood trellis here, and yet it can really handle the strong sunlight here. It's completely devoid of any sign of scale or powdery mildew. It's been brilliantly taken care of. I bet Van takes care of that. And then we've got more fern in here. I see some evidence of maybe some Russian sage. And then that path comes out into this area here, which is what she calls her container garden. And again, this was inspired by Klaus Dalby's book, Container Gardens. I'll put a link to it below. Stuart, let's try to put a little picture of it up right here, my friend Klaus. And these are really, really large concrete pots that I believe were sourced by my friends John and Roger. And she's got some of them elevated on concrete plinths, not only here, but in key areas around the garden, because if you come out from underneath the pergola, you can see there's a large pot here. And note that most of her containers are very large, and they contain not only seasonal color, but they contain specimens of evergreens that are here in the winter as well as the summer to give winter interest. A beautiful crimson queen, Japanese maple. She's got a little herb pot down there. I spy some mint and some thyme.
That's how you keep it all in one place.
That's how you keep it all in one place. She's got thyme growing in between some of her pavers. There's different kinds of succulents growing around the base of her pots, and also some in the ground, different textural components. She's got a tight color palette here of pink, blue, and white, a similar color palette to what I use at the cottage in the front yard. But this is a great idea of having succulents planted at the base of your plants. Make sure they've got really good drainage. Here's some more. She's relying heavily on pentas, angelonia, plumbago, and I imagine she'll have to probably replace the alyssum with something else once it gets a little bit hotter. But some of this is protected, as are these geraniums, under the overhang of a beautiful shade tree. And then this comes over here to yet another garden room. If you round the bend, she's got one of these fabulous Stuart's favorite plants here, a Chinese snowball viburnum, and we were just talking about pruning it up into a small tree that arches over the space instead of a large shrub.
Which I'll have to show them here.
Which you'll have to show them here. And a magnificent, I don't know if this is sum and substance, but wow, just a magnificent hosta.
There you go.
Very happy here. She's got some vinca minor, some more of the ground cover. And this is a brilliant use of different ground covers, you guys. Brilliant use of the mondo grass, and then more garden furnishings over here that if you wanted to sit in this beautiful area, it overlooks a fabulous green space and trail that links up to the golf course. Links up, do you get that? Links up to the golf course. Yes. Stuart's telling me I have
I'm doing what you want me to do.
Yeah, my calic is acting up. There's no good hair day today because it's so exceptionally humid. Over here, she did what I did at the cottage, and she's got kind of a wall of Nellie Stevens holly by a brilliantly pruned magnolia tree.
Oh wow, that is huge.
And she's got a juniper over here and another magnolia. And then in this corner, she's got some hydrangeas, she's got some more spirea, she's got another tree peony, and more boxwood that kind of are up here hugging the Harry Lauder's walking stick.
Oh, wow.
Something contorta. That's my question of the day. I can't remember the botanical name, something contorta, but it looks like it's called Harry Lauder's walking stick. I used to have one of these at the old garden. And it's just a curiosity, a fun curiosity.
I love how delightfully awkward it is.
Yes. It just is kind of, it's just whimsical.
We can't find the word.
And then there's some sedum autumn joy there, and some more euonymus.
Another weed.
And I mean everything, and
Always
this is
weeding.
always weeding. But this is probably one of the most manicured gardens I've ever been in, and I have never been here when it was not like this. Now Van does a lot of the gardening here, but she also gets help, as I do, from our mutual friend Victor, who helps her prune the boxwood, and it's nice to have a helper because I used to do all the boxwood pruning at the other house myself, and now I don't have as much time. So it's done by hand. So it's very, very helpful to have someone in your corner who can do it when you cannot. And that's a wonderful thing.
How many years did you mow your yard over there?
Oh, got mow my yard and edged all and pruned all of that boxwood. Yes, for let's say 27 years maybe. So the whole thing, if you could just maybe even step back, Stuart, and let's just get a wide shot of this area so you have a good idea of how everything fits into place. And we'll take a break here, and then I want to go around to the front to show you again the context in which her home resides and some brilliant and innovative solutions for spaces that she's got in her front yard surrounding her drive. Now, the front yard is really small, but again, ingenious use of a lot of boxwood, which is why I think Sammy calls it the boxwood house. She said as soon as we leave, she's going to count just how many boxwood she has. And I thought we need to have a competition between herself and myself to see just which one of us has the most. Hers are definitely more mature because she's been in this house for, how long did she say, 25 years?
I think it was
27 years, so a pretty long time. So her boxwoods are mature, but I just love the way they kind of flow together in different geometric shapes. I love this wrought iron sign. Isn't it spectacular?
And it just ties in with everything else too.
And then just simple gravel mulch that just flows up here with some statement making boulders and boulders that surround another Yopon holly, and then again romancing the ordinary of boxwood, Roman Yopon holly, Nandina domestica that just comes up.
Well, I just now noticed a little rock, it's a rock area in
surround.
Yeah.
Right, and it gives different levels and dimensions. She's got some nepeta here, and then one of these magnificent large bird baths that we have seen at John's. And what's wonderful about it is its massive size.
Yeah.
And it makes it so appropriate in this space with this little drift of mondo grass around it. But just imagine how much less impactful it would be if it were small, if it were just 12 to 15 inches in diameter. This is absolutely massive, and because of that, it really makes a statement. And then she's just got more evergreens up here.
He probably drank some of those bottles, right?
I have no idea. Actually,
He
not.
said the blue bottles.
No, actually not. This is an artisan that they use.
Oh, okay.
And so it was the artisan who consumed whatever was in those bottles. And then it goes all the way up here with concrete balls, just the simple elegance of one type of plant, one color of plant in really, really large pots,
Show him like
some topiary and just another lovely seating area on this wonderful aged cobblestone front porch that leads around to the back where she's got some clematis growing.
Guard dog.
Guard dog.
I want to show them these faces.
And more faces staring out at you.
That's so delightful.
So nice porch moments. I love the way instead of small gravel, she's used large rocks to mulch her massive planters. And then just so people can kind of get an idea, Stuart, let's just kind of show them the garage. So go around this way in a slow pan. More boxwood, of course. Growing underneath the profile of these massive, massive shutters.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And then there is the garage door. And then over this way, she really wanted to point out this new addition on the north side of the house with, again, great execution of romancing the ordinary, common plants, liriope, boxwood, Indian hawthorn, Chinese hollies, oak leaf hydrangeas. But then all of these set off with this wonderful entryway here of stone with copper finials, stone and wood fencing that then gives you entry into what goes into the backyard. And so with that, Stuart, we have come full circle. I hope you guys enjoyed this wonderful small garden tour today, one of my favorites in Oklahoma City. It is just, I think, it just does the best of kind of creating an English garden with different rooms, each one as interesting as the next in a very small space. And let's end on the marvelous, marvelous bark.
Oh, wow. How did I not see that until right now?
Of this fabulous tree.
Okay, I'm going to ask, even though we're ending, why does it do that?
Because it's just Mother Nature doing its thing. Why, I don't know. And I'm not even sure I know what kind of tree it is. I don't think it's a Chinese pistache, but whatever it is, it's magnificent. The bark is magnificent. The whole garden is magnificent, as is Sammy for letting us come over and take this tour of her garden. Okay, now that I stepped away for a moment, it comes to me what it is. It's a lace bark elm grown because of its just absolutely fabulous peeling and spectacular bark. I think I didn't recognize it because so often they do not get this large in Oklahoma. This is one of the largest I have ever seen. And thankfully, it has never been brought low by an ice or a windstorm. So absolutely magnificent. I'll be curious to see if I check with the OSU Extension Center if it's still a recommended tree for Oklahoma, because it truly is magnificent.